Yes. I apologize in advance, you guys, for what you're about to witness. Realize this is not a friendly. The button shirt would be much better for this guy. So I know this is like, gotta figure this out. Yeah, that's not the way to define value, right? Yeah. You guys are in for a treat. Let's be honest here. All right. Can you guys hear me okay? Yeah, maybe we'll just have we'll have the mic right there. So, okay. All right. Let's see. Get familiar with this guy here. There we go. Okay. All right, guys. Well, let's go and dive right in. My name's Stan Larimer. I've been here at KW for 11 years now. So maybe a little over, no, right around 11. Yeah, originally from Portland, Oregon, and then migrated over here to Utah. I was raised a BYU fan and an Oregon Ducks fan. So go Cougars, go Ducks. That's my jam. So I was in just a little bit about my history. I was in door-to-door sales for about 10 years. So selling pest control, alarm systems, started a business in 2010 with a friend of mine and sold that in 2013. And I'd always wanted to get into real estate. I was like, I figured I've been selling stuff to houses, household products. And I'm like, why don't I just take it next level and actually sell houses? So I teamed up with Jimmy Rex. He's one of our longtime, longtime agents, team leaders, and worked with him for a year and a half. And then just from there, just found my groove. So just been awesome being in real estate and doing this. So this section here, define your value. One of the reasons I took this on is I'm a big believer in value, big believer in what do we bring as agents to the table. So people ask, why do I use an agent? Why would I use an agent? And the answer to that comes down to your value. Okay. Everything's about value. Why is a Tesla worth, $40,000? Why is an iPhone here? Why is this iPhone worth, $900? Because there's value to it, right? So that's a huge thing. Why are you worth a 3% commission, 2.5% or 3% commission? It's because of your value. It's because of what you bring to the table. Okay. So do our clients understand that? Maybe not, right? Maybe they need to be educated on what is that value. And that goes into that's this section, define your value, okay? And I want to make this a little less kind of classroom-y and more just open discussion. So I want you guys to feel free to ask me any questions. As you get thoughts, I want to hear them. So I'm not a lecturing kind of person. I'm talk your ear off. So please chime on in. So, all right. So this is the system to deliver your value. Okay. The whole idea is to help you understand what is your value. What do you bring to the table? Why are people going to hire you? Okay. So we start with the value proposition. Okay. Your value proposition is a unique, memorable, and persuasive statement that expresses the true value of working with you. Okay. For me, I'll give you one of the things I always say. I always tell my clients, I'm a hustler. Okay. I will hustle to get your deal done. I will hustle to find you the best deal. I will hustle to find you a great house. That's my line. That works for me. People, when they hear that, they think, oh, yeah, okay, I want a hustler. Yeah. What else? When you hear that line, a unique, memorable, and persuasive statement that expresses the true value of working with you. Let me ask you guys, what comes to your mind? Or what do you have? What are you thinking? Expertise. Yeah. Being able to tell them, I'm a market expert. If you want a market expert, that's me. Right? Yeah. And it could be anything. I'm a go-getter. I'm going to put in the hours. I'm going to put in the hours for you guys. I'm a market expert. Right? So you be thinking about that line. What stands out? What resonates with you that you can tell your clients? So, and then addresses the specific and special needs of the buyers and sellers in your market. So this statement, is it relatable, right? Is it, can you apply it to this market, to this market of buyers and sellers? And the answer needs to be yes, right? If it's something in our market here, I mean, people are looking, what do we have? Do we have big families here in Utah? Yeah, we've got a few of them, right? So understanding the market and understanding neighborhoods that would suit a big family, right? That's probably one key value proposition. So, and then number 3, state what you will do for your clients to earn your commission. So I'm a big believer in there's no handouts. Okay. I love the phrase. I want you guys to write this down. Expect nothing, but earn everything. Okay? Expect nothing, but earn everything. If you follow that throughout your life, you're going to have a great attitude and you're going to receive a lot. And it's the opposite of entitlement, right? Expect nothing, earn everything. And that commission, you need to earn that commission. It's not just going to come to you. And especially in this day and age of open dialogue, sellers saying, why would I pay you a 2.5% commission when this other guy, I can hire him for 1%? Okay. It's a great question. People bring this up all the time. Okay. And if you describe it well, everything that you do, there's a lot of reasons why you're a much better option than that little discount guy down the road that all he'll do is throw it up on the MLS, won't do anything else. So state what you will do for your client to earn your commission. Okay. Holds you accountable to high standards, right? Accountability. We got to make sure we are holding ourselves accountable in our value proposition. So follow those items, you will be able to deliver your value and your clients will understand, oh, this is why I'm going to hire you. Okay, so when when those hard times come, and they do, those challenging transactions, they come up, they know they can depend on you. You're going to be there for them. You're going to answer that 10 p.m. phone call, which a lot of agents, they're not going to answer that 10 p.m. phone call. So I love this here. Top agents can easily explain what services they will provide to anyone who hires them. From Gary Keller. Top agents can easily explain what services they will provide to anyone who hires them. So, and I want you guys to be thinking, yeah, just think of that, just in a couple words, be thinking of what is that reason they're going to hire you, or what is that reason they're going to hire you, right? You want to have that. And that should be a part of you. That is what you do. So, anyone want to share? I know you guys are thinking of a few words. What comes to your guys' mind? Okay, maybe keep thinking. Keep thinking. What was that? Yeah. Negotiator. Being able to negotiate.
value type that. Yeah. So, we've been really saving them. All of the contracts, the legal aspects, and the personal aspects.
Tie a red ribbon around it, and they don't have to. They can actually sleep at night. And yeah, negotiation is huge, right? If you don't care as much for negotiations, you're in the wrong line of work, because that is what we are. Okay, and I tell my clients, I'm not afraid to ask. Okay, if I'm not afraid to ask for whatever it is. I mean, the worst thing that the other side can do is say no, right? Now, we want to be smart. If there's 2 or 3 offers on the table, obviously we want to be smart. We want to know what we're getting into, but you guys are sharks. Okay, so that's another value line I've used as well. I'm going to be your shark, and I'm going to go to bat for you. And doing your research, knowing the market, making sure that you have substance, right? We're not just raw negotiators, but we have substance. We have reason for our negotiation. So yeah, and we're going to talk more about negotiation as well. Okay, benefits of a value proposition. To help your clients understand your value and your expertise. Ah, yes, I need a negotiator. Yes, you're speaking my language here. Protects your commission. They understand when your clients can tell you, or when your clients are thinking, wow, he's earning every dollar of his commission. He's really earning it here. There's nothing better than that. Build strong and trusting relationships. Just on the topic of negotiation, I've got a transaction right now that it's not, well, it's a little bit older. It's 1998. Nice home out in Harriman, huge piece of property. The roof is shot. Roof is older, needs replacement. There's been some leaks here and there. Like there's a little rooftop patio, and it's leaked into the garage a little bit. Seller's been great. We're working with the seller, negotiating, but I tell you, this has been it's been a back and forth negotiation. And it's one where the deal's on the line, and there's been moments or times I thought, okay, maybe this isn't going to happen. Maybe it's not going to go through. But let me ask you guys this. What's most important on a situation like this? When the deal's on the line, you're negotiating back and forth. What's the number one most important thing here? Yeah. Anyone? Win-win. Well, and specifically making sure you serve your client, right? When there's a few things going on and you might be a little confused as to how do I want to, if I do this, I could rip the deal. But the number one guideline, as long as you're serving your client, as long as you're doing what's best for your client and making them happy, nothing else matters. Okay. And if they can see that you are pushing their needs, you're pushing hard for them, they're going to be happy. And the deal could fall through, or it may not happen. But guess what? They know that you're their agent, and you're going to find them their next house. So this deal that I'm working on, it's been just that. It's been pushing and back and forth negotiations, but I think we're getting close. Negotiations have been going on. So our due diligence, we've almost a week and a half, 2 weeks, and it's been getting a few bids, a few different contractors out there, and all the bids are in, and everything's final now. It's just negotiating. And so.
Take that long.
Going crazy. All right.
I'll give you an example. Never really done any residential deal. Commercial deal.
Oh, cool. Okay.
Turned in a letter of intent. Essentially.
Yeah. Commercial deals, those are long. I mean, those could be long and complicated.
3.5 weeks after. From the other side. Literally making myself crazy after like 4 days going. Why? What's going on? Like, geez, we, not
And you've like,
did things right or something wrong.
do you follow back up like in a week or so to see if they got it, or do you even know if they've received it, or?
We received it.
Oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah, Brandon, if you like.
Oh no, I mean, this is one of my first deals, so I'm like, did I do this right? Am I making it? What happened? And so I reached out to somebody else that, said, so, hey, what am I doing? He said, listen, commercial deals take a long time. I can't remember how he put it, but essentially follow up is the tip of the spear. So keep following up, but what we did. 3 days or so, it's like, that's too much, just follow it up, see what we have, finally 3 companies that are.
As in responded to the proposition.
To the letter of intent, okay, we.
Oh yeah, oh yeah, yeah.
I don't know if it's because it's first deals, or if it's because it just took so long.
Yeah, I'd say definitely first deal and being commercial as well, which I haven't done commercial. I haven't done a lick of commercial, just residential. And part of that's just been my jam, right? Is residential, but I know commercial just takes longer, and you combine that with the uncertainty of your new role, right? What you're doing. So yeah, that's the challenge, is trying to not let it go, not let you go crazy, right? And just, yeah, I mean, it's just, and as you do that over and over, you're gonna be more in sync, right? Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
You said it, when, residential, I kind of just said, whatever, the commercial can start buying. It was like 3 of them.
Wow.
I don't want to go sell a house.
Oh wow. Oh wow. 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 Hey. And
Whatever.
maybe commercials, yeah, maybe commercials are your thing. Yeah. On this note, we're talking, I want to tell you guys, this is something just critical to understand, that what we're hired for. My brother told me this once. He's an accountant, and it's very, very true. We are hired to take away the stress of another and take it on ourselves. Okay, we are paid to take on one's stress so that they can sleep well at night, and we get to wake up at, when you wake up in the middle of the night to go to the bathroom, you're still thinking about it, right? It's still kind of haunting you, but we are paid to take over their stress. So yeah, just again, it's getting familiar with it, but don't let yourself just tell yourself we're getting through this, right? We're moving forward. So no, great points. What was your name, by the way? Yeah, what was your name? What was it? Bill. Okay. Yeah, thank you, Bill. Thanks for that. Okay, so little value proposition examples, going back to so these are companies, and this is what their value propositions. So Airbnb exists to create a world where anyone can belong anywhere, providing healthy travel that is local, authentic, diverse, inclusive, and sustainable. Walmart, everyday low prices for a broad range of goods that are always in stock in convenient geographic locations. That sounds right. Slack makes it downright pleasant to work together. Oh, that's pretty cool. I like downright pleasant. Grammarly, great writing, simplified, compose bold, clear, mistake-free writing with Grammarly's all-powered writing assistant. QuickBooks, send invoices in minutes and get paid in 2 days faster. State Farm, here to help life go right. So you hear these, I want you to think about your value proposition, right? For me, for example, Stan Larimer, I'm a hustler, negotiations expert, and I will see the deal through to closing. That's my thing. Hustle, negotiate, make the deal happen. That's my value proposition. But what is yours? Be thinking of yours. Connect to your value. So this is basically, understand, kind of like understanding your value. Okay, we have KW and market center value. What value? So let me ask you guys this: what value do we have being with KW? Is there a value? What do you guys, when you see a KW sign versus you see another street sign down the road with a Bob's Realty and no picture, no nothing? What do you guys think? What do you think of when you see KW? Yeah, yeah, yeah. Large team and a lot of resources. Yeah, and a lot and a great reputation. And I'll tell you, the everyday person, I think they think that as well. So everyone I talk to, I tell them I'm with KW, and they're like, "Oh, our so and so neighbors, this person was with KW. Great guy or great gal." It's true. Like doing this, been in the, there's a reason I've been, so my whole real estate career, I've been in it for 11 years, and all that's been with KW. And one big reason I don't leave is I like the perk. I like the name KW, and I like it because people like it, and it's true. There's the KW agents. There's just a lot of good KW agents. So, oh yeah, did you, Bill? Did you have a?
Kind of quick fix touched on it, I would say, training.
Yeah. Oh, man.
One thing I learned in past life was that I think KW really embraces is proper training.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
So all the real estate agents, they're going to sidestep issues or they want to be educated on how to prevent clients from getting into that situation.
Yeah. They're a great resource to help you out, right? To help you along the way. And the whole program, the whole model of KW is just awesome, right? It's the training is fantastic. There's a lot of training. I realize the training is important. So we're oftentimes we're all asked to participate in these Ignite meetings or these Ignite teachings. You know, there's no extra compensation or anything, but the thought is, oh, I want to do my part. You know, I've been helped out by KW. I want to do my part, and that's what keeps it going. So, yeah, the resources, the marketing materials. I mean, KW Command. I mean, how many of you guys have really dove into Command by raise of hand, or maybe just dabbled a little bit? So there's a lot. I mean, I have only used maybe half of what Command offers. My assistant probably knows it better than I do. So there's a lot that KW offers, and that can tie into your value proposition. So be thinking of that. You know, be proud of that when you're talking to a client and you tell them, "Yeah, I'm with KW," not just KW, KW Westfield. So fiduciary. I love that word. What's a fiduciary? Your duties to your client. Yeah, it means you have a special, I forget the actual definition, but in my language or my terms, you have a special obligation to look after your client. A fiduciary duty. It's a legal term. But I love that because it's true. If there's in other words, if there's something within a transaction that will benefit your client, that's of course legal, are you going to do it? Heck yeah. Yeah. So I mean, like, let's say you're representing your buyer. You might know the seller is, let's say the seller might be in a desperate situation where they need to get out, right? They're moving out of state. They got to sell quickly. Are you going to use that in your negotiations? Heck yeah, right? So whether it's pushing the envelope a little bit more, whether it's asking for a little bit more of a concession, asking them for that fridge washer dryer, which your buyers just, fell in love with or whatever. Yeah. So you have a fiduciary duty to help out your client. So make sure you, understand, okay, what is that? What is your fiduciary duty? So, and on that note, again, I tell clients, I often tell them I have a fiduciary duty to you. And that creates good conversation. Like, oh, fiduciary, I don't, what is that? Or
I don't know what the exact definition of it is. We know what it is, but everybody's like most 99% of people. Like, I have a beneficiary obligation, they're big. Okay, I don't know exactly what that means, but it's really cool.
Yeah.
It's super important.
I think I know enough. Maybe I know where you're going with this, right? Yeah. So, yep, no, it's a great thing. Market expert. I think you may have mentioned, and what was your name? Yeah, what's your name? Maxwell. Okay, I think you mentioned earlier on market expert, right? Knowing the market, and not just knowing the market, but you guys heard the term farming, where it's like you learn a specific area, and you learn, you know, you might know everything about that neighborhood, right? You are a neighborhood expert right there. So learn the market in general, but learn a few specific areas that you can really master. And when people are talking about a neighborhood, you tell them, oh yeah, I know there was this house that sold at this time, and you have this family that they were only here for just maybe a year, and then they had to move quickly. When you know that, you're going to get listings in that neighborhood, right? That's going to really, really help you out. So, okay. So yeah, kind of jumped ahead. We did. Okay.
Got to figure out how to ask you this question. Last subject.
Yeah.
How many areas are you in?
Oh, yeah.
Are you in?
Yeah, great question. I always tell people that my bread and butter is North Utah County. So really Orem to, or I'd say Provo to Lehigh is probably 80% of what I do. And if I'm narrowing it down even more, I live in Lehigh. Lehigh, I know like the back of my hand. So Lehigh is truly my bread and butter. So I kind of tailor it like that.
Okay. So that also gives me some insight as to how big your area is. Some people think, like, when I first started thinking of it in this time, I live in Lehigh pretty well, you mean, the new development.
Yeah.
It's kind of where I live.
Oh yeah.
There's a lot of.
Oh yeah, tons of. That's kind of around State Street, right? Just.
Right above the.
Are you? Okay. Oh, you're talking just to the south, like the Lakeshore area? Okay. Yep. Oh yeah. Yeah, that whole Woodside, Keystone. Yeah. Right. Yep. Yeah.
So you kind of look at that and you say, okay, well, this could be my area. But then I'm thinking, that's a lot. How big can you get?
I think to have, if that is your area, I think that's a great area.
I think it's a good area for.
Yeah.
But then you kind of look at it and say, well, that's not really the price range I want to work in, because it's kind of the lower end.
Yeah. You're like 450 to 500.
Yeah. I'd like to kind of get closer to the $1 million mark. So then say, well, how big can my play again? So I was just wondering, because that's kind of like North Utah County or South Lake County. It's kind of like, I thought, well, maybe that's too much stuff.
Yeah. I feel, and it depends what jives with you, right? What do you feel is honest with yourself, right? Like when I say North Utah County, that totally rings home for me. And then specifically, I can tell them, if we talk specifically, I'd say probably Lehigh is my number one. But generally, I'd say, yeah, if you have a section of a county, that's what you tell clients. That's what, South Salt Lake County, that's my jam. You have that person that's from Draper, been in Draper forever. They're gonna jive with that. But then you can have, they're like, for me, like I know that area extremely well, that Lakeshore Landing area. And then you have there's other pockets of AF which are brand new as well, right? You've got just over, but closer to State Street, there's that whole section. As you're going down State Street, where is it? It's kind of like it's a little bit north of Lakeshore Landing. Bunch of townhouses, and you've got. I think so. Yeah, they've got like they've got some, like Oakwood Homes has this little pod, like there's the 4 houses with the shared, shared driveway. So I'd say ultimately, that's the thing about it is it's okay to have it might feel bigger to you, but when you say like, yeah, this area is what I know, it's going to resonate well with your clients.
Suggest with people who are starting out, start small, become the expert on that and then grow it.
Yeah.
Because you'll start
Yeah.
like you just said, from Warren to Lehigh, pretty big.
Yeah.
you know, but you can expert.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
kind of like, yeah, I'm up on it. So I look at these numbers
Yeah.
every
Yeah.
week or every day.
Exactly.
They don't change.
No. Yeah. There's parts of Orem I know extremely well, parts of Pleasant Grove I know extremely well. You got to West Lehigh on 2100 North, you've got a whole bunch of, building, and you've got DR Horton and, Edge. And so as you grow, these areas will grow with you. And genuinely, right? Because you've had transactions in several of them. So maybe that's a great point. Start small and then let it expand. Yeah, no, great points. And feel free, guys, to interrupt if you've got any other thoughts as well. So, ahas, any other questions, thoughts as we've been going? Okay. What matters to buyers and sellers? Okay. One thing I want to add as we're talking about this, a lot of this has been centered around us and our defining our value proposition, right? But ultimately, we got to think of it from the perspective of the client. How much does this client really care about you? Okay, right? They don't care about you much, right? So if you're not tailoring it to their understanding, then you might just be some person mouthing off, right? And that's the thing, less is more. Okay, remember that, less is more. Being very precise is key, and letting them know you really care, right? So that is one of the number one things that buyers and sellers that matters to them, is knowing that you care. Okay. Not sure if this slide will actually say that, but that is critical. They need to know that you really care, that you're genuine. Okay. But from a general perspective, for buyers, their goal is to find just the right home at the best price in the right time with the least number of problems. Okay, pretty straightforward. For sellers, their goal is to net the most amount of money in the shortest amount of time with the least number of problems. Yep. I tell that to every seller. I understand. The key thing that you guys want to accomplish, the key thing I want to do is net you the most money with a great buyer who's actually going to close. All right. So I want to net you the most amount of money with a great buyer. So pretty straightforward. Ultimately, when we're selling a house, money is, to a seller, money is number one, right? That's what they need. They need to net the most amount of money. And like Bill said, right? Yeah. And if you can make up for that, if by your negotiation, by your, tactfulness with the transaction, if that saves them 5 or 10, makes them 5 or 10 grand more, well, you're pretty much paid for it. So that can and will happen. Okay. Top 10 service areas of the buyer value proposition. Okay, so this is kind of like your whole guide to this is like an entire transaction on the buyer side. Okay, number one, first thing you're going to do is a needs analysis. In other words, you're going to sit down with them, whether it's in person, on the phone, and you're going to ask them, what are you guys looking for? What's your situation? I love that word. I love that phrase. What is your situation? Okay, that's what I'm asking is, tell me everything I need to know about you, and let them do the talking. Oh yeah, we're coming into town, and I just got a good just took a new job, and we've got our 5 kids, and we need this. My kids really love sports, so we want to hear all of that as an agent. Find out what their needs are, okay, and then what their needs are. Their budget. Okay, they're looking maximum 650 or less. So tell them to look in a different state. I'm just kidding. Just kidding. So we know what they're looking for. We know their needs. Next step, pre-qualification or pre-approval. Okay, have you spoken with a loan officer yet? Oh, I know. No, we have. We're just about to, my brother's son's nephew's daughter is a loan officer. We're going to talk to her, see what she can do. Okay, great. Check with her, see what she can do. I've got an expert loan officer I want you to compare with. So here you go. And obviously with a loan, and I tell people with a loan, a loan is a product, so you can compare that, shop that around a bit. But on this note, you need to make sure you have a great relationship with a loan officer. So by raise of hand, how many of you already have that or are working on that? Hey, well, we'll see. We'll see, right? We'll see. So, and yeah, and ultimately, there's a lot of great loan officers out there. Do they jive with you, right? Are you on the same page with them? I think that's important to having that relationship so that you can refer them confidently to your client. Okay. And guys, loan officers, they'll take you out to lunch. Okay. Meet a few of them. They're going to wine and dine you. They want your business. So run with it. I mean, I was not complaining when I was going through that whole, getting to know them. Same thing with title, right? Same thing with title companies. They're going to wine and dine you. So, and it's fun. You get those free lunches. But then ultimately, yeah, it's about building those relationships with those vendors. So, okay, they've talked to your loan officer, they've been pre-approved, they're good to go. Okay, so I always tell people, make sure that's step one. Make sure you get them pre-approved before you really start looking at houses. Okay, now if you're already looking at houses, well, that's fine. We just want to guide them to that pre-approval process. Okay. Neighborhood information. So we know that they want Lakeshore Landing. They want maybe it's either Lakeshore Landing and American Fork, which that's just south of the freeway, or they're okay looking east in American Fork. But American Fork, Highland, Lehigh, let's say that's their area. That's their target. So what are we going to do? We're going to get familiar with neighborhoods there. Okay. Start searching for houses. We've got 5 houses we're going to go see. And you see them all. They're like, okay, yeah, these houses are nice. You talk about them, discuss them, but maybe it doesn't quite, you don't have the right one yet. You plan another day, you see several more houses, and maybe there's one, they're just, wow, this one's really nice. We like it. And also, guys, during this process, understand your buyer's motivation, right? How motivated is your buyer is critical, right? Because if they're just ready to go, like they're moving from out of state, they've got a big family, they don't want to rent, they want to buy their home, that's a motivated buyer, right? If it's your friend from college and they're just kind of thinking about it, kind of maybe more investment purposes, which is awesome. That's another whole side we haven't talked about yet, but there's the side of investing. That person that's just kind of browsing, maybe they're not quite as motivated, which is okay. But understanding their motivation level, trying to match it so that you can, the key thing is you want to serve them best by understanding their motivation level. And that helps you to realize how much you can nudge, right? So, they find a great house. Oh.
I want to ask you a question on the house.
Yeah.
So for you, the professional perspective on this, you got a client that comes in and says, well, I'm looking for a home that's in around $750,000, I want 4 bedrooms, and I'd like to do in Traverse. How far outside of those parameters do you go? We don't stop at $750,000.
I'll put on the search on the hot list, I'll put up to 800 just for viewing purposes. That's what I typically tell them. For the search list, I'll put it to this amount just for viewing purposes. Area, same thing. Unless they say like Traverse, for example, we want to be in Traverse Mountain. That's our spot. then you might want to just maybe keep it at that. But if they say Traverse or Traverse, surrounding areas like Draper up the hill, Suncrest, that could be maybe that could be another spot they might be interested in. So you can push it a little bit, I'd say.
Set them up on your auto distro
Mhm.
on those, but also keep your eye on some other things that maybe just outside of the area that they ask for, just for a great film. This is awesome. It's exactly what we're looking for. Describe the name, but it's not.
Mhm.
I mean,
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
your approach.
I'd keep my mind open, keep an eye out. Because here's one thing for sure, going with what you're saying is that they know what they want, but it will change daily, right? It will change weekly. And so, I mean, I had this client of mine, this house out in Harriman, I've been negotiating. They gave me a huge list of the things they need, and this house has contradicts several of those items, kind of thing. But it was just like it just wowed them, and they're just like, wow, because this house ultimately has a ton of land. Where do you find a ton of land here for under $1 million? You don't, right? So yeah, have your general search, have a little bit extra on the price, have a little bit larger of an area, and then just keep your mind open to what else that you might see.
I ask that because you want them to know that you're listening.
Hmm?
What their habits are, but at the same time, they may not know what the.
Yeah, they don't, and you want them to know that you are thinking about them as well. You want them to know that, oh wow, okay, even though this is a little different, he's thinking. He's like trying to make something happen. So clients love that. They love that. I've done that as well. I've said, I know this is outside of your area, but the house itself checks every box. Yes, 8 miles farther, but it checks every box. And they're like, oh wow, okay, yeah, we're going to talk about it. And they may say, oh no, it's too far. Ultimately, this is just too far. But yeah, thanks so much for sending stuff.
Well, I asked this because I often think back of one agent I worked with buying a house, and I felt like she was listening to anything you said. Don't want a house on Ridge Road. Show me houses out Ridge Road. Like house, next to a school. Show me houses next to a school. And
You're like, are you even listening? Are you even hearing?
Spent 9 months looking for a home. Because you're not listening to what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So then I kind of think, well, I don't want clients to think we're not listening to them, but at the same time, want to introduce them to possibilities they may not know.
Yeah. And the introductory line that you're going to use is, hey, I know this is not in your parameters, but this does look very interesting. I just thought I'd share this kind of thing. Like if that same agent said, hey, I know this isn't part of the parameters, but it might be interesting. Like I just figured I'd share it with you, kind of thing. So yeah, and that's the key thing is your clients don't quite know what they want yet, right? They do not know what they want yet, and make sure we want them to know that you're thinking about them. Okay, so just by sharing that, on a random afternoon or random morning, you're sending them other stuff. They're thinking, wow, okay, they're thinking about me. Okay, so critical. Yeah, great question. So make an offer. All right. This house is listed. Let's use let's talk about the purchase price is max 750. Okay, but another reason we're putting it at 800 on the search is because you can come down. We can offer less, right? This house, we find a house listed at 760 that you never would have seen otherwise had you not had the search higher. Guess how many days on the market that house has been sitting there? 123 days. All right. After how much time generally is a house? After how many days on market is a house generally negotiable? What do you think? Oh, yeah, easily 60. I'd say when you're pushing 15 to 30, when you're 15 to 30 days, there's going to be some wiggle room. If you're 30 to 60, then yeah. Anything over 30, then there's the seller's feeling it. The seller's realizing, okay, and generally they're just priced too high. That's the general, 90% of why a house is still available after 35 days is going to be price related.
15 days?
So I'd say after 30, there's very good, yeah, there's good flexibility. The seller will be thinking about it from probably 15 to 20 days. About 15 to 20 days, the seller will be thinking about it, have it on their mind. Okay. So if you come in, if it's been on 18 days, they've had no offers, and you come in now and your client presents a lower offer, they're going to be thinking about it. Okay. It's been on there for 2 days and you come in 20K under asking, they may not give it much thought yet, right? So, but yeah, I'd say generally 15 to 30 days, the seller's thinking about it. After 30 days, there's definite wiggle room. Yeah.
Listing. Then start to panic after 15 days, thinking,
So,
we're gonna have that hard conversation.
so as a listing agent, you guys need to foresee the future. Okay. As a listing agent, when you have these price conversations, you need to tell them, hey, here's where we can price it. Okay. Average home in this area sold for about 600,000. Okay. Or let's say very comparable homes as to yours. So I'd say we price it right at 600. We could go, I know you guys are thinking, 610, 620. We could try that. And then just understand, if we get something great, if not, then maybe we come back down to 600. So having those conversations with your seller up front and trying to foresee it, because what you don't want to have happen as a seller's agent is you don't want to be blindsided, right? You don't want to be like, oh my gosh, guys, I don't know, why is this not selling? I don't know, like, gosh, we've done everything. And you do not want to have those conversations. You want to know ahead, be able to look ahead and present options, right? We want options. So.
Yeah, I haven't done my first deal yet, but I know one of the values you said was for like a buyer that want to close as fast as possible. How long would it typically take to
close the deal? Yeah. So you go under contract, so about 30 days it's pretty typical. So, and really they want the whole process. They want to go through the whole process generally as quickly as, well, let's go back to that slide because, okay, in the right time is what it says. So for sellers want to sell they'd like to sell generally quicker, sooner than later, right? But a buyer, yeah, it's not for a buyer, it's not necessarily just finding it the quickest, it's just in the right time. So the more important thing is just the right home, right? Finding the right home. But typically your settlement deadline is going to be 30 to 35 days. So, yeah, good question. Yeah, no, this is good.
From listing side, after the 30 days.
Mhm.
What do you expect? 1,000, 5,000, 1,500.
I'd say I always say it's a decent percentage, right? I'm not a fan of the $5,000 because you're just not, like take this $600,000 house, right? $5,000 off, it just doesn't do much. So I'm a bigger believer in making it count. And hopefully that's the only price reduction. So I would say on the 600,000, I'd say let's bring that down 50. Let's go to 585 and hopefully that does it. 3 million, yeah. Yeah. So what percent is that? That's probably like 3 or 4%, right? Or what is that? No, that's just under that. So if you can be 15,000 on 600, that's 2.5%, I think, right around there. So yeah, I'd say around 2.5, maybe upwards of a 3%, just so that it's impactful. Okay. And again, going back to the seller side, you prepped when you're having these conversations, you are giving them options. Okay. They have something in their mind. Their house is worth, way more than it actually is, which is fine. Right. We all have that thought. But you want to go over options. Okay. If you guys want to shoot for the stars and price at 640, and there's been, obviously you really want to help them, to achieve, we want to help them to sell the house, right? And if they're just wanting to shoot for the stars, we really want to discourage that, want to try to bring them in. But if they want to be priced just a little higher in today's market, sure, you can let them do that, but make sure they understand what they can expect, and you anticipate, and they may say, yeah, no, we're fine. Maybe we'll have this price for 30 to 60 days and see how it goes. Oh, okay. Okay, no sweat. They have that understanding. And then that, after 30 days, maybe you had one offer and it just didn't work out and they realize, okay, we need to drop it. So where do we go from here? And then, yeah, okay, let's look at it. Okay, maybe 15 grand, boom, done. And then once you make that drop, then you should notice more attention. And when you get that attention, then okay, yeah, we're in the right price. So great question. Oh, good question. Yeah, good question. So I don't really, I don't know if I really ask them that. I just tell them, most of these people, like when you're having these conversations, they may already be thinking that you're their person. I just kind of go with it. So I just kind of go with it. And yeah, because there's the question of the buyer broker agreement, right? So I might be a little bit, I don't know if I'm supposed to say this, but I struggle to, I know they want us to present it like from day one and be talking about it. I like to show them a little bit of who I am, and I like to go out and search houses and kind of prove them my worth, right? Really before presenting that buyer broker. But to answer your question, I don't really ask them. I just in my mind, I kind of just know what's happening and I just kind of run with it and people respond to that, right? So, because sometimes that can be a little bit of an awkward question, right? But I would just try to go with it. Yeah, they'll have to sign the exclusive buyer broker agreement. Yeah. And I like them to know me a little bit. I like them to see who I am, see my work ethic before I have them sign. Oh, did you have a, oh, okay. Yeah, great question.
We probably feel that works to your advantage, sending them stuff. One, you're presenting the value already. But two, you get them to see something that's super awesome. They're totally into it. They're like, I want to see that, Stan. And you're like, okay, well, in order for us to see this, like, I have to sell.
Yeah. Then that could be a good opportunity, a good time to bring it up. Is that because technically with the laws today, they want us to have that signed agreement even before we're showing them houses. My previous motto was show them houses, have them sign that agreement at the time of making an offer. But now they do want us to try to have that signed sooner. So yeah, you're talking, I don't, what, I'm not sure exactly, but what I do know is they need to have the understanding that, they need to know that if there's implied agency, right? If you're going out with them, they need to know that, okay, this is our guy. But at some point sooner than later, you want to bring up that buyer broker agreement just so they, And you know what? I mean, let's say you present it to them, send it to them on DocuSign, and maybe, you're showing them houses at 3 o'clock. They haven't signed the agreement yet. My mind, not the end of the world. I just go about it. I show them the properties, and then remind them, oh, hey, by the way, did you guys get a chance to look at that agreement? Oh, yeah. I know. We'll look through it a little more. Okay, great. Yeah, let me know if any questions. Basically, and I try to be very straightforward with that agreement. That the main thing of that is it makes our relationship formal. That makes me your agent, right? So that's the big thing of it. I am your official real estate agent. The brokerage fee. Now you can talk about that brokerage fee in a couple different ways. And I like to tell them, my personal take is whatever the seller, I'm going to negotiate and I'm going to get paid from the seller. Okay, so I'm not going to bother you guys for money. I'm going to get paid from the seller. So we're going to put 3% on here as the buyer broker, as you know, the brokerage fee. But we're gonna request 3% from the seller. So I'm not gonna bother you guys. So, and people, 98% of the time, people are like, oh, yeah, that's okay, let's do that. So, yeah, where we couldn't get much from the seller. Honestly, yeah, no, great question. Yeah, no, honestly, not really. So in all fairness, I mean, there's been ones where maybe they had a lower commission. I've had to negotiate to get just 2%, let's say. Am I going to ask my clients for anything? No. No. So, I mean, honestly, to this date, I've never had to ask my clients to bring more, unless it was a different, there's been other, I've had, you know, those business savvy clients where we already have our negotiation. We already know like how much commission exactly. And if I don't get that, then there was one where he did top it off because we had it all. It was all like, you know, just spelled out, and he's been buying houses for, you know, a long time, I think. So, but yeah, as long as you, and the coolest part too, guys, the purchase contract now, it has the amount where we write in the commission into the purchase contract. Okay. That's only been around for a few months. So you make the offer. Typically you want to just put in 3% in that, unless you know that, I mean, unless you want to just make it easier on the seller, unless you have reason to put, you know, 2.5. I would not go lower than 2.5, but you could put 3%, just negotiate from there. No. Yeah, no, these are all great. So okay. So we made an offer and negotiating to buy. We make an offer for 760, or sorry. List price is 760. We make an offer. It's been on the market for 40 days. Okay. We're gonna come in at, we're looking at comps. Yeah, comps are around 750 or so. They've got it listed a little higher. We're gonna come in at, let's say we're gonna come in at 750, but we're gonna ask for $10,000 towards the buyer's closing costs. Okay. What does that mean to the seller? If we come in at 750 and ask for 10,000 of buyer closing costs, what is that equal to the seller? So it's the same. So what basically, when you ask for 10,000 of concessions, it's no different than just like a 740 offer.
760 house you're offering.
750.
Price, but also closing costs.
Yeah. So right, it'd be no different than just offering that like a 740. So make sure we understand that when we're asking for those concessions, it's no different than just coming in lower kind of thing. But concessions are a great thing to ask for because now your buyer's closing costs are paid for. So yeah, so let's say we're offering 750 with 10,000 of seller paid closing costs. And the seller looks at it and they're like, now, and also one quick point. When I'm negotiating and when we're talking about an offer with a buyer, I tell them there's kind of like two ways we can make this offer here. Okay. We can try to be very aggressive. It's been on for a while. We can try to be very aggressive and knowing they're going to counter us. Or we can try to option B, we can try to hit that sweet spot and try to hit them to where maybe they won't counter us. So both in this market, both can work, right? But I like to kind of have that conversation because I mean, every buyer's thinking, how low can I get this house for, right? What's the best I can do? So you want to make sure that they know you're thinking the same thing. Yes, so we could come in much lower, maybe 30K under, and let's see what happens. We could try that, right? Or let's maybe be a little bit more moderate and maybe they'll just take us, right? Maybe we won't get a counter. Both scenarios can work, okay? Both scenarios can work, but I like bringing those up because then they know that you're thinking. They know that you're trying to make it happen. So, so let's say in this case, you know, they're listed at 760. Let's even say we come in at 740 with 10K of seller paid closing costs. That's a 30K difference, okay? So let's say, okay, they're going to counter us. Okay. They're going to counter say, no, we can't do 740 with 10K, but we can do 750 with 10K. And you're like, okay. And your buyer's like, okay, yeah, we're in the ballpark here. I do want the washer and dryer. I'll take it if we can get the washer and dryer included. Okay. Okay. Fair negotiation. We send the counter. We send an addendum with the washer and dryer included. And listing it says, yep, we have a deal. We're good. So yeah, just talking through your buyer during that negotiation process, making sure they know that you care, making sure that they know that you're thinking about, you're trying to think, right? They want to see that. So yeah, any other thoughts on that? Everything pretty good there. Okay, we're under contract. We're moving forward. Vendor coordination. You guys need to have, obviously you need to have a great loan officer. You need to have a great title person. What about contractors? Oh my gosh, we need a handyman right away to go look at this sink is leaking. We need a handyman right now. You guys need to have, as realtors, we're at the top of the food chain in terms of, sending out references. So you need to have relationships with all these different vendors. Home inspector. Okay. On this note, right when you go under contract, okay, and we're talking about vendors, there are 3 steps that you need to tell your buyers. Basically, when you go under contract, you tell your buyer, congratulations, we got the house, woo woo. There are 3 steps right immediately thereafter. There are 3 steps. So I want you guys to write these down, and they're not on the slides. First step is schedule home inspection. Okay, we've got to schedule that home inspection stat. I've got a great company. They're very reliable, and they will do a walkthrough summary with you and show you all their findings. So you'll be there. So basically in this text message, that's what I tell them. Schedule home inspection right away. Here's the the name, and people are going to go with who you recommend for the inspector. They don't know a home inspector, right? But you do. So here's the name and number. Go ahead and contact them and get that scheduled. So home inspection. Number 2 is earnest money. Okay, they've got to deposit earnest money within 4 days of acceptance. So, and they could do that. They could drop a check off to the office. Not many people use checks anymore. So we use Earnest. The app Earnest is a way they can deposit that electronically. There is a small fee, but they can just do an ACH deposit through Earnest. So discussing that with them, earnest money, that needs to happen. Said, oh, Earnest. Via an ACH transfer. Yeah, so ACH is just like a checking, it's a transfer that occurs through the checking account information. Yeah, unlike a wire, they could do a wire transfer. A wire is typically, and the wire is the most secure, but it's a $35 fee to do a wire. Typically there's their bank charges a $35. Yeah, so yeah, the Earnest app, and there's actually another one that I think we're going to be using that's only like, so Earnest is a $24 fee, use fee $18. It's $24. And there's another one that I think we're going to be using, I forget the name of it, but it's like we're back to an $18 fee. So, and it's a totally secure, as secure as an ACH transfer can be. So 4 days, 4 calendar days, yeah. So if we go under contract today, Monday, you have until Friday. If you go under contract on Thursday, we have Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. You have until Monday. Yep. So, okay. So we got home inspection. We've got earnest money. And lastly, get going on the loan. Okay. Now, if they're cash, you're not having this conversation. We love cash buyers, but chances are they're getting a loan, so we need to get going. Call your loan officer, lock your rate. Let's get going. Okay. So those are your 3 things. So I always send that follow-up text. So home inspection, earnest money, get going on the loan. And then That gets the ball rolling. So, okay. So vendor coordination. So some of that has to, so we've talked about that. So make sure you guys know have your relationships with other contractors. Get to know a roofer, get to know a plumber, get to know an HVAC, heating and air specialist, because you're going to need that. Again, with this other transaction I've been working on, we've sent several contractors to get estimates. And so during that due diligence, that initial 14-day window when you're under contract, that's your due diligence period. That's when you're running your inspection. Let's say you need a new roof estimate, the roof is shot. You're going to send a roofer over and he's going to give you a bid on whatever needs to be done. You can take that bid then to the seller and hey, look it needs a new roof. There's a leak in the roof. The roof is 28 years old now. Time to be replaced. So that's all part of that due diligence. Okay, we get through it, we make an agreement. The seller gives you, let's say the seller gives you they're just going to take $30K off the price to pay for the roof. Or there's other ways you can negotiate that. But let's say you get past that, you have a you come to terms, and we jump here to closing.
Want to get your opinion on something? With your vendor coordination, do you recommend your clients to get a allowance, or do you recommend that they just have a base?
It could be a combination of both. Yeah, could be a combination of both. So, like, let's say that furnace is struggling, very dirty, hasn't been serviced in years. I think it's an easy one. Hey, we need you to send I want you, seller, to hire an HVAC contractor and let's have them come out, take a look. But let's say something like the roof is shot and it's going to need like $15,000 to, $15,000 replacement. That's something I would probably work a credit for. The easier thing, if you don't have, if you're not asking for closing costs yet, then asking for that credit in the form of closing costs is great because that's money in your buyer's pocket, right? So let's say, which is the same thing, yeah. Let's say you're at 740 even, no closing costs, which is also one reason why I like just trying to come down as low as possible. Like maybe one reason why I like not doing closing costs up front is because then you can negotiate those during the deal. Okay, we got this, and this. We've got $5,000 worth of repairs. We're not going to bother you guys with it. We're just going to ask for that $5,000. And how you're going to give that is a credit towards our closing costs. That makes sense. So that is no different because they're paying for that $5,000 that your buyers would pay for that out of pocket. So this says seller, there's no difference. Oh, like asking.
Then the inspection comes back and says, hey, this roof is trash. Then you say, okay, well, I already got these two being buttoned up. And you ask for a little more. And maybe you don't know the whole 15,000. You say, well, let's say you've already locked in these two.
Yeah, so that's a good question. So if we already have, let's say we already have that 15 grand locked in, right? Or the 10,000 seller credit, right? We already have that negotiated. And now here's one thing to keep in mind. You can only ask for whatever will cover your closing costs in this seller credit. Okay, so we've got 10,000 so far from the seller. How much are your total closing costs going to come to in general? Well, let's say let's say they come to about 10,000. You cannot ask for more than those closing costs, unless you think of a couple other. There are a couple other small ways. So, but what I'm getting at here is there's a limit as to how much of that credit that you can ask for that you can utilize as a buyer. So we can have our closing costs paid for. And there's one other way that you can utilize more money from the seller. Because let's say there's 20 grand worth of damage. The seller doesn't want to repair any of it, let's say, but we'll give you the money. We'll give you the credit for it. There's 20K. We're at 10K so far, okay, of a seller credit. But there's still another 10 that we need to get from the seller. Okay, so how are we going to get that? So there's a certain buy down. Have you guys heard of like the 2-1 buy down? Are you familiar with that? Okay. The 2-1 buy down, or there's a 1-0 buy down, there's a 2-1 buy down, there's also a 3-2-1 buy down. Okay. Now, I know we're a little off topic, but this is really good. I love this. I love this. This is all critical. So okay, a 2-1 buy down. What that is it's a temporary buy down. You are reducing the interest rate 2% for the first year. Okay. Year 2, the interest rate will be reduced by 1%. And then year 3, the interest rate will go back to normal. Okay. Let's say right now you're locking in their rate at 6.5%. Okay. It's pretty, the rates have come down a little bit. Thankfully, we're not at 7 anymore, under 7. But so you lock at 6.5, and the lender tells them, okay, so for this 2-1 buy down, your rate the first year is going to be 4.5%. The next year it's going to be 5.5%, and then the year 3 it goes back to the normal. Okay, the seller is able to pay for this. Let's say the cost of that, just for simple language, the cost of that 2-1 buy down is $10,000, which is pretty close. Okay, all that we're doing here, this is just creative financing. Okay, that 10,000 is the savings between the discounted payments year 1, year 2. When you get to year 3, you're back to your normal rate. But over the 2 years, you're saving that $10,000. If you follow me, you save $500 a month for, the first year. What's 500 times 12? Was it $6,000? Let's say then the next year you're saving $4,000. So you've saved 10 grand. Okay. Now the reason and you don't need to fully grasp this yet, but the reason I'm bringing this up is this is another area you can ask for money from the seller. Okay. Yes. Credit us another 10. Now we're at 20,000 of a total credit. That the first 10,000 we're going to use to pay off our closing costs. Okay. We can, lender fees, underwriter, appraisal, prepaid escrows, all that, let's say it equals about 10,000 at this purchase price. And then for the other 10,000 the seller is willing to give us, we'll use that for that 2-1 buy down. Okay. And that's no different than giving the money to the buyer, but instead of getting it up front, they get it over the course of 2 years. If that makes sense. So yeah. Instead of paying $3 grand a month, now we're at 2,400 for the first year. So that's a big. So hopefully that makes some sense there. So there's only so much of credit you can ask of the seller, and you have to be creative how you use that. Credit. Another option is we'll just take the 10 grand further off the price, but it only changes like $50 a month, right? So just being mindful, trying to be creative. Yes. What does that mean?
Well, it's, trying to, is that just like, they just can't do it?
So good question. So a seller can only pay. So the question is this, how can a seller give you cash? How can a seller give you money towards whatever, right? Like in a picture perfect scenario, my picture perfect scenario would say, hey, seller, just if you can credit us 10 grand towards the price, so we could come in with, like, if they could credit 10 grand towards our down payment, and now instead of coming in with 50, we could come in with 40. That would be amazing. Lenders don't allow that.
The lender doesn't want you walking away with a big pocket full of cash when they just loan you.
Correct. Yeah. So let's say your down payment, let's say your down payment, you are coming in with 5% down. Okay, so what's 5% off of, let's go, 5% off of 750. Okay, 37.5, okay? Now there's the understanding your loan limits. There are loan limits, conventional loan limits, which I think that's like 770 or something like that. So in other words, to still get a conventional loan, the maximum loan amount you can have is like 770. So we're still well with under that, because we're talking about borrowing at a 750 price. If we're putting down 37,500, we're going to borrow roughly around 720, right? Just a little under 720. So the lender will require you have to come in with a minimum of 5% to satisfy that, meaning the seller can pay for your closing costs. Say your closing costs are $10,000, the seller can pay for that, no problem. But the seller cannot contribute towards your down payment. That makes sense. So they want to see, because they're like, if we're giving the buyer this money, we want to see you coming in. They want to see that you have that money to be able to just to show that you're a quality buyer. So the answer is if you're trying to hit 10% for like if it's a slightly better rate at 10%, they would have to stick to that 10%. If they go under 10%, well, then it would fall under the parameters of a 5% down. That makes sense. So depends on the parameters. So like 20%, for example, 20% is a good number because it's a lot, but there's no mortgage insurance if they can put 20% down. So if they need to come in less, then there's no then they're going to lose that 20% benefit. And the key point is no seller can contribute towards a buyer's down payment. That's the thing. So lenders will not allow a seller to contribute towards their down payment. What will they do? Well, closing costs. You can have your closing costs all paid for. That's no big deal. Now let's say, okay, if there's an HOA, we can get creative. They can prepay your HOA fee for I think it's a whole year. So let's say the HOA fee is $200 a month, okay, which is might be a little steep, but let's run with it. 200 times 12, $2,400. So we can get an additional $2,400 from the seller to go towards that HOA fee. So that's pretty cool. Paid for a year. So this is it's kind of a whole nother topic, right? But you can find ways of, okay, how can the seller give us money that was going to pay for, allow my seller then, because my buyer is going to have to pay out of pocket for these roof repairs. So how can the seller give us money? So Maxwell.
Yeah, when you're like in the price negotiating stage, say it's like 260 and you kind of go the aggressive approach and you maybe offer 240.
Okay.
I know these are pretty low.
I'd say condo, right? 260
Yeah.
Condo, and you're out coming in at 240.
And you know it's likely they're gonna give you. Is that they try and negotiate closing costs?
It very well could be. Yeah, let's say like you offer 240, and or like let's say when you're saying we're going to offer 240, are you coming in with some closing costs as well? Or are you just saying 240 just straight up without closing costs? Okay. Expecting a counter. So yeah, maybe they say, hey, we'll come in, we can't do 240. We'll come in at maybe they come in with a random number, 246. That's what we could do. And then you say, great, okay, take it at 246. And then, so if you leave it at that, and then you find repairs, let's say there's $3,000 worth of repairs. Okay, now we're going to ask for a $3,000 credit towards our closing costs. So because we haven't touched the closing costs yet, we still have a full clean slate. We could at this price point, your total closing costs are only going to be about maybe $5,000. But if you have a clean slate, yeah, we have that wiggle room to ask for that. I don't know, does that kind of answer your?
Yeah, but so after they accept an offer, and then you do like the inspections and stuff, then you can ask for them to cover the equipment fund?
Correct. Yes, correct. So the simple answer is nothing. As long as there's no hard earnest money, which hard earnest money is kind of a conversation for another time, but that's non-refundable earnest money.
Yeah.
As long as you're just following the regular contract terms, their earnest money is still fully refundable during due diligence and during financing. As long as you still have that intact, everything is still negotiable. So meaning they've accepted your offer, but everything is still fully negotiable. So and they'll expect that as well during due diligence. You're going to have X, Y, and Z that's wrong.
Yeah.
We're going to negotiate this, and it would be no different. It would be no different than maybe if we asked for that up front. But the difference is we didn't find out until just later. So great question. Yeah, great question. So yeah, until that financing deadline. Well, during due diligence, that's when you're going to ask for concessions typically. But even during the financing, your earnest money is fully refundable until the end of that financing and appraisal deadline. So there could be some other request comes up during that time. And then after the financing and appraisal deadline, the deal's done. Like the earnest money's hard, which I'm a believer in good amount of earnest money. So after that, when the earnest money's hard, that's when they're not going to cancel there unless something crazy, right? So unless something crazy happens. Yeah, great. All great points, you guys. I like talking just the real stuff, right? That you're gonna experience. So we close, post-closing. What's a post-closing example? How about like a week later? Guys, hey, just checking in. How's the house? Anything wrong? Everything good? Oh, typically you get, oh, house is great. It's just, kids are loving it. And yeah, we're having a good time. But oh yeah, and that happens. Your inspector totally missed this. And you're just like, and then I've had that happen. I pulled the report. It's actually right there in the report. We actually talked about it a little bit, but yes. Yeah, I've done so doing a more thoughtful gift. I've had my wife, and she kind of volunteered. We were talking about gift baskets. And yeah, people love the gift basket. So she would put together, and we'll still do this, but yeah, she'll put together some soaps and a towel, and, house stuff, and just have it in a nice little basket. When you bring it to closing, two ways you can do that. You bring it to closing, here you go. And they're like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. It may have only cost you, $200. And I'll include like a gift card as well in there to top it off. But terrific message, right? Or you could bring it to the house, not with them there, and when they go to the house next, they see the basket there. So a simple one as well is just a nice gift card at closing. Like if you already did a lot, and yeah, there's times I've just done the gift card, and even that, like, oh my gosh, didn't see this coming. So the gift basket though, I really like it. It's a good note. So yeah, do something like that, because then again, it just shows that you care about them. So okay, so again, guys, you understand, if you understand that's your buyer map. I mean, that's a good solid start to finish of what your buyer can expect. So learn it, understand these items, and you're gonna make your buyers happy. Okay, going over talking about the seller side. And by the way, what time do we normally end? Is it like 11:30? This normally gets out. Okay. All right. Okay, for the seller, needs analysis. What are you guys trying to accomplish? Is it the bottom line that's most important? Generally, the bottom line is going to be most important. You might have a seller here that they've been here 30 years, their house is paid off. They know they're going to make their money. They might even be a little more like, we want to make sure we just get a great family in here. Like, these are all some of our great friends. We're sad to leave this house. Maybe having a good quality neighbor, is going to be important. Now, 90% of it will probably be the money thing, right? And that's okay. That's why they want you as a shark to sell their house. But you need to understand their needs. There could be a few things, right? Maybe it's just trying to make the transaction happen as quickly as possible. They need to be out of state in 30 days. They need to get going. Maybe the husband is going to move early to start his job, and the family will then follow him as you know when the house sells kind of thing. So what is their needs? Pricing it. We talked a little bit about this. You can price, there's kind of three ways you can price. You can price lower, which will attract a ton of offers, a ton of attention, and you better believe you're going to get higher than asking price. Okay, so there's pricing it much lower. There's pricing it competitively within the market, kind of right at this sweet spot, which is my ideal, where you're getting attention, you're getting offers. You know, you're basically getting action. Or you could price it higher, see what you get, see what happens, kind of thing. And that's where you have to have that conversation. We might need to come down. We price too high. So price really low, price right in the market, or price higher. Those are kind of think of it as those three options. Okay, which pricing in the market, and here's the question, right? What will make the seller the most amount of money? My opinion is it's going to be pricing within the market. You're going to get a reasonable offer, and you're going to make more money pricing within the market than if you price too high. You sit, and then what do people ask? What's wrong with the house? What's wrong with the house? Nothing's wrong. We just priced too high. But yeah, and then with that higher list, you get lowball offers. People will come in lower, and you don't really. So, in other words, you guys, the first really 14 days of a home being listed, there's this hype, there's this excitement. It's like, what is a house actually worth? Well, it's just worth what a buyer and seller agree on. Well, what is that number? Until you have that, what is it? What is it worth? No one really knows, right? So in other words, there's hype, there's excitement to a new listing. As listing agents, we want to take advantage of that excitement. And we want to, you know, if we get 2 or 3 offers on a home, great. We're having them compete. And so often, so for a while, my list price, my final sold price of my listings was higher than my list price, because we would price just somewhat aggressively and we get those multiple offers. Market is much slower now. There's a little fewer buyers. So I think I'm probably right in line. My list to my sold price, if that makes sense, I'm probably right in line. But I'm not a, 20K under kind of thing, 30K under, which I imagine many agents are. So the key thing, list. In other words, my opinion, you list within the market, that's going to net the most money to the seller. You're going to do well, and in a quicker time frame than if you were to list higher. So, okay, proper preparation, market strategy. Make sure when you're meeting with them, you're the expert, right? You want to know everything about the house, learn about their mechanicals, learn about what's the condition, how do we avoid surprises.
Pricing strategy. Say you do like a CMA and you see other houses around selling other houses similar, selling like 550.
Okay.
Would you sell it at the same price?
So if with the CMA they're right around 550, I'd say that's your list price. Yeah. Now they're thinking, but our house is worth 575 because of X, Y, and Z. Well, I'll tell you what. Why don't we list at 550, and then I will get you more money. I will do everything I can to get more than that 550. Okay.
They ask, how do you get that?
Yeah. We're gonna attract multiple offers. And let's assume that this is with the notion that you genuinely think like 550, that's an aggressive list price, let's say, because maybe they do have some nicer stuff in their house than the comps. Like their house is clearly nicer. But let's still go with 550. Let's get people inside. When people see the house, they're going to say, whoa, oh, we'll pay more than 550 for this house. Yeah, that we saw a shack for 525. This is decked out at 550. Okay, yeah, maybe we'll come in at 560. Guess what? If you get 2 or if you get 3 offers, in my mind, 3 is the magic number. You get 3 offers, all at list price or a little higher, you're now in a bidding war. And so now you get to navigate this, and you're going to tell you now you're going to be transparent and honest. We're not, not going to play games per se, but we're going to go to the parties, say, the sellers received multiple offers. Here's what they'd like to do. And there's a few ways you can handle this, but generally, what I'm telling people is we've got some good offers. So I would say come in, your offer's good, but I would recommend coming with your best foot forward. The seller's still thinking about it, coming with your best foot forward. And maybe that conversation alone, maybe they'll say, oh, okay, yeah, don't worry, we're gonna come in higher. We're gonna come in higher. But let's say that, they've offered what they've offered. You've got these 3 offers in hand. What you can ultimately do is call for highest and best. Let's say highest and best due in 2 days. We're going to give you 48 hours, bring us your best offer, and then the seller will look at them from there.
Have multiple offers coming in, you tell a buyer we have like a specific amount, like we have 4 offers, or you say both the offers.
Yeah, you could feel it out. Honestly, I'm all about the transparency, and I'll talk to my sellers asking their permission to give information, because ultimately by giving that information, that's going to help the seller, right? Because ultimately they want the most money, right? So what's going to get them the most money? Well, riling up the buyers. So yeah, I think you're fine to say, you could say multiple, or yeah, if you've got 4, if you have 4 offers in hand, if you have 5 offers in hand, I would tell them you have 5 offers, because once you get to a certain number, like let's say it's crazy, let's say you're getting 7 offers. Okay. Now, by telling that buyer that we have 7 offers in hand, you're doing one of 2 things. You're either they realize they just can't compete, or they realize that, okay, we're not going to waste our time. That's great. I don't want to waste our time either. Or if they are going to compete, they realize they need to come in hot, right? So, and yeah, you're setting the proper expectation. So yeah, however you feel best. If it's 2 offers, maybe you can just say, yeah, we have multiples.
So my question is going to be with how do you manage offers? Obviously, if it's the first weekend of the home it's online, then when you start getting offers, let's say you get an offer of money, you get that offer of money. You tell your client, hey, we got an offer, but I'm going to recommend that we hold off before we accept it. Let's give it another day or whatever, closer to the deadline. Or we're gonna either accept it or tonight. But let's say you're on market for a week and a half. Then you get offers.
Like you are on for a week and a half, and then you might get one offer.
The next day, on Saturday, you have the house, and then Monday you get an offer.
You get an offer Monday.
You guys great feedback from the house. The client, let's hold on, or
yeah,
you just kind of hold the offer for a little while, and then some other things from that. I mean,
yeah. I'll tell my clients, I'll tell my clients, all right, so we got an offer. The first thing I do is I will go back to all of our showings, and I tell them, hey, we'll just checking in, want to see what your buyer thought. Oh, and by the way, we received an offer.
Call the people that
yeah, and I'll try to reach out to them directly, or I'll reach out to their agent, but the goal is to let everyone know you have an offer in hand. So we have an offer. We're not sure what we're going to do yet, but let me know what you guys are thinking. Just as simple as that. We have an offer, not sure what we're going to do yet, but let me know if you're interested. And can kind of get some thinking. But what will happen is, by doing that, because we don't want to scare people off, but we do want to create urgency, right? I love this line, that maximum urgency, zero pressure. Okay, as agents, we want maximum urgency, zero pressure. Okay. Oh yeah, yeah. If you want this house, here's what you got to do. Straight and simple enough. If you don't want the house, great. We're moving on to the next one. No pressure. So maximum urgency, no pressure. Okay, which sometimes, I mean, there in reality, urgency does create pressure, right? But the key thing is urgency is a good thing because that helps us to make decisions. So yeah. So we want to let them know that, okay, we have an offer. Not sure what we're going to do yet, but let us know if you're interested. And then if they are interested, how do you think that's going to affect their offer, already knowing there's an offer on the table, right? It's going to be a better offer, okay? Whatever numbers they are thinking, instantly the value just went up. In other words, talking about value, we've just created value in the house by letting them know that we have an offer and we have an offer and we're still looking things over. So
Let's say you didn't have an open house, but you did have some people come to the home. You could say,
do the same thing. Yeah. You show Align Showings is the normal app that we use for all. And Align Showings is great because it's like, oh, we had 7 showings over the course of, let's say, 5 days. Oh, great. I'll just go through the app and I'll message each agent. Just let them know, hey, got an offer. Let me know if you're interested.
So that conversation goes, hey, you know, we received an offer on this house. Fine, reaching out to everybody. Well,
Mhm.
then you also say, if you guys are interested or want to make an offer, you know, we're probably gonna respond to this by 5 o'clock tonight.
You know, I normally am just very precise on this initial reach out, let's say, where I'm telling them, okay, I'm going to let them know that we have this offer. Literally, I'll just like either text message or in the Align Showing chat, which there's the chat that you can, the chat with the other party. I'll just say, just want to let you know we received an offer. Seller is still looking over things. Is your client thinking about the house? And I'll just leave it at that.
They say no.
Yeah.
Say yes.
Yeah. They say yes. They say, oh yeah, the house looks good. So they'll say yes. Yeah, they're thinking about it. They're just finishing up their pre-approval, and we'll see. Well, let's say, yeah, they're thinking about it. They may ask a question. They may bring up something, but they may say, hey, what is your seller? They'll typically, this is where the conversation starts, and they'll say, what's the seller looking for? And so the seller, yeah. So ultimately, price aside, well, and sorry, I'll tell them. So yeah, the bottom line is critical to this client. The bottom line is critical. But besides that, sorry, bottom line is critical. I'd encourage your client to just put their best foot forward. But besides that, on terms, you know, the sooner the close, the better. And I just kind of leave it at that. And because the deadline aspect, we may not address that until we really need to, kind of thing. So at this stage, we just have an offer and we're just trying to create more interest. And so maybe I'm having this conversation with 3 different agents of, oh yeah, here's what my sellers are looking for. Obviously, price is number 1. Come in with your best foot forward. Besides price, here's the other factors. And then if you get 2 other offers that come in, and there's still all this communication, then that's where you could say, okay, we're going to call for highest and best. Or maybe one of those offers, maybe it just, it hits exactly. Yeah, it's just like, oh, sweet. Yeah, your seller will know ultimately, right? Your seller has numbers in mind, and when the right number hits, they may just say, okay, let's go for that kind of thing. Because we don't want to string people along. We don't want to waste time, but we do want to maximize the bottom line of our seller, right? So yeah. Great questions. Great thoughts. So I mean, yeah, we kind of talked about a lot of this here. So negotiate the deal. We get that offer that just looks so sweet. One strategy, you guys, we don't have to do this very often, but non-refundable earnest money. I've talked a little bit about that. If a buyer says, hey, we want this house so bad, of our $5,000 earnest money, we're going to have $1,500 go non-refundable upon acceptance. meaning that that 1,500 is locked in. Just a little token of how interested we are in the house. Seller could be like, whoa, okay. Well, that's great because I know that they're serious. 1,500 in the grand scheme, not a whole lot of money, right? To potentially win a deal over. Now, we don't have to do that as much in this market. Generally, I mean, buyers can negotiate. And what I'm seeing you guys right now is I'm seeing that buyers agents can negotiate quite a lot. So a lot of overpriced, whether you call overpriced listings or it's slower time because we're still in the winter. Despite the sun being out, it's still technically winter time. So just understanding as a buyer's agent how to negotiate, but on the seller side, what do you look for? What's going to ring home with your buyer? So let's say we get through all that, go to close, post closing, you follow up with them. I like to follow up about a week, at least a week after closing. Could be sooner if it naturally comes up, but about a week and just see how. Well, okay. The big thing for the seller when the seller closes, what's the big thing that they're waiting for that's going to hit not long after closing? They're going to look at their bank account. They're going to see that wire transfer. Their bank account just shot up 200 grand. They're like, whoa, wire came. Oh, that's the moment. That's like kind of one of the final check marks for you as a listing agent, just making sure their wire transfer came through, which is normally within 24 hours of signing. But once that comes in, then that's like the celebration. That's like anything else after that, it's just kind of, just secondary. But that's the big thing, is wanting that when that wire hits. So yeah. And then they're like, hey, yeah, well then maybe that's the case, right? They're like, yeah, guys, okay, we're ready to, maybe they moved in with family, or maybe they're doing a leasing back the home to the buyer. Sorry, they're leasing the home back from the buyer for X amount of days so they can find their next house. A few different things like that. So, all right. So the rest of this, some of this is statistics to understand what do buyers most want from their agent. This is I believe this is from a national survey, 2021 profile of home buyers and sellers so yeah, this is a national survey. 52% of buyers say we want our agent to find us the right house. Okay, 52%. And then from there, help negotiate, which is 13%. But what I want you guys to, what I want you to focus on, yes, finding is critical and important. But what buyers don't realize that they learn after the fact is that negotiation part is so big that, they may have found the house and then you just open the door, but then you really negotiated that and helped a price they didn't think they could get. That is just as important, arguably maybe more important. But if you can really negotiate that and make the deal happen, that's huge. So this is help with the price negotiation. These are actually kind of the same. Yeah, I don't really, some weird research categories, right? I would just combine them. So let's say we're close to 25%, right? Just know that these items are critical. Okay. So you can I've had a handful of clients, they find the house themselves, and let's be honest, there's a lot of good search capabilities. It's not like the 90s where buyer's agents in the 90s, you'd show up to your client's house, they'd jump in your car, you'd take them on this tour, you'd have this big manual pamphlet with all these houses, and they're like, whoa, we don't have access to any of this. Well, guess what? Nowadays they have access to everything, right? So if they find the house, you better make sure you make up for it and with all the other items. Now, if you do find the house, they're like, holy cow, we didn't even see this house. I'm so glad you found it. Okay, you're starting off great. And then obviously you want to make sure you negotiate and do everything there, but just know that negotiations is critical, right? There could be stuff like terms, like we want a certain style of home, we want a certain style of kitchen. We want to,
Right. Right now.
yeah, it could. Um, it could, I would say there's a lot of different components to it. Like, maybe one thing, for example, let's see. So I was going to say like once some buyers may need their closing costs paid for, like they do not want to come out with extra out of pocket, but that is technically negotiate the terms of the sale. That is that section right there. Other could be, we want an agent we like. We had a bad experience with an agent. He would never answer my phone calls. I want an agent who will answer their phone calls. That's a good example of other. We all want agents that will answer their phone, right? And you need to, I'd say do everything you can within that same day to return their phone call. A very maximum 24 hours. But if you're not returning their call, someone else will, right? So it could be characteristics of the agent, responsiveness. We want someone who's going to work hard. And honestly, actually, one thing that I'm actually surprised at. Okay. So this is what I was thinking. So I was thinking like the buyers want an honest agent, one with integrity, but that's the next slide. Factors the buyers value when choosing an agent. Number one, actually the number one is the other category, but the identified here is agent is honest and trustworthy. So you want to be that just as important, if not more important than the agent's experience. Which the great thing is, anyone can be honest and trustworthy, right? You don't need experience to be honest and trustworthy. So that right there gives you a huge leg up. I know. Like, yeah. It goes to show that there must have been so many other little random things. But what we do know is be honest, trustworthy, and that's the importance of, being able to show that experience. And if you don't have that experience yet, there's this phrase I love. It's called fake it to make it, right? You got to fake it to make it. You don't need to tell people you're brand new by any means, but just tell them that you're learning a lot about the market, and you really, you've got a good handle on the market. So
If you are new and they ask about your experience,
you got to be honest, and you got to. It just kind of depends, right? Are some of you guys on teams by chance? Or are you guys individual? Okay. Oh, okay. Close 4 deals. Okay. Okay. So what I would tell people is, so you could tell them, yes, you could say, yes, I am newer, but I'm a part of this productivity team where I've got people behind me that are helping me every step of the way. So in other words, you've got expertise behind you.
Yeah.
So that's what I would write. Like I was on a team to start, this was years ago, but I would just brag about the team. And it's easy, right? Because you can never brag about yourself, but I can brag about my team. Oh my gosh, you got this high-powered team behind you, closing all these deals. We're going to see this through. So I would do that from the productivity side. So, all right, so let's move on here. What sellers most want from their agent? 27% other, 21% help price the home competitively. Help sellers to market the home to potential buyers. So a majority, or almost a majority, is this here. So we want to price them competitively. That's important. Okay, the pricing strategy is very important, even to the seller. And then how do we market the home? So we're going to post it on the MLS, right? Is social media a good way of marketing? We've got to all really grasp social media. Personally, I kind of hate social media, but I have to use it because that's the world we live in as agents. So any way that you can help market the house. Social media is an easy one. It's totally free. You just post it on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, whatever. The more you can get it out there, the better. the truth is the MLS, UtahRealEstate.com, is by far where most eyeballs are going to see it. So just making sure, I think a big part of that, talking about market the home, make sure your listing looks good, make sure it's correct. On UtahRealEstate.com, there's so many times we're searching for a 3-car garage and we find a 3-car garage home, but it's listed as a 2-car garage. And I'm like, guess what? If we weren't searching outside of our parameters, we wouldn't have found that house in the typical filters. Basement entrance. If there's a basement entrance or a walkout, make sure it's there listed correctly. I can't tell you how many, I would bet you if we go through 10 listings, I bet you we find at least 4 of those 10 have red flags. Okay. One of the most common red flags is the identification of townhouse versus condo. Okay. So many times we're looking at a listing and they might think it's a townhouse. It might be a side-by-side, like there's no neighbor. Or sorry, there's no one above you, right? So it's they may think it's a townhouse. But guess what? You look in the county records, it says condominium. Why does that matter? Why does it matter that we correctly say townhouse? It's because it matters to the lender. Okay, it affects lending, whether it's a townhouse, a PUD is a townhouse. Yeah, PUD, planned unit development. A little tip, the interest rate goes up by about 1/8% just for the fact that it's a condo. Some of that is to do with risk reasons. But I say that because a lot of times I'm looking for a townhouse, I have buyers looking for a townhouse. I see one that they like, and I have to tell them, oh, sorry, this is a condo. And condos have rental restrictions. Townhouses typically do not. So that condo might just take them out of the picture altogether. So what do? I click report anonymous. There's like report an anonymous complaint or report anonymous something on the bottom of the listing. I'll click that and I'll just mention this is a condo, not an actual townhouse. So, and then the MLS will let them know.
How do you go about getting the pictures?
Oh, yeah. Okay. So that's a huge value point. I tell people I have a great photographer. I'm going to take care of those pictures for you. Okay. How many listings? Let's say you look at 10 listings. How many of those have average to below average pictures? Maybe half, right? How many of you have seen a picture of finger in the picture or the little pink fuzz? It's just shocking, right? I'm like, who are they hiring to sell their home? If you have garbage pictures or like very zoomed, like they're very small, squared off, wrong size pictures, I'm like, what's going on? Photography is massive, right? Massive. You've got to have a top-notch photographer. I say, as an agent, I want to take care of it. I'm going to send my photographer out. We're going to do full-on photography, but also drone photos as well. I'm a big believer in drone photos. So, because then there's shots that I love, like the overhead shot, where you see the fence line, the whole fence line, you see the lot, they see what they're getting. Oh, great. How annoying is it when you're buying a home and they don't really know, they're not familiar with the lot lines, or they look a little ambiguous. There's no fence in the back, so they can't really tell. So photography can help with that, as well as there's the county records, which you can see, like Utah County, you can see the parcels, every live parcel, which is fantastic. But the point there is the photography. I love the overhead drone shot because it'll show you the lot. It'll show you the stuff nearby. So that's the long-winded answer of, yeah, photography is critical. Now, that's a big key part of your value, okay? So factors when choosing an agent, reputation of agent is honest and trustworthy. Look at that. A key thing there is this is not those top 2 items. Even these are not talking about experience, but it's more, who is this? If someone says, oh yeah, you need to use Maxwell because he'll just shoot it straight. He's going to work hard and shoot straight with you. We're not really talking about experience. We're just talking about honesty, integrity, work ethic. So those are huge, huge factors. Those are things as a younger agent, you want to grab those things that you may not have the experience, but you have these other things that you can really grasp and run with, right? So, and then KW technology for your value proposition, command. We have a whole slew of things we can do in command. We can send out flyers, right? Talking about marketing. Maybe you want to send out a flyer to a neighborhood, just listed. And all the neighbors see that, whoa. Now, in reality, that flyer is cool for that listing, but I'll tell you what's more important is they're going to call you when they're curious about selling their house, right? So it's more about advertising you. But the point I'm making is you can set that up here in command. So there's a whole other, we won't get into it, but there's a lot of stuff that command can do. Drip campaigns, sending out little, monthly newsletters or monthly emails to your clients. That can all be done here in command. Okay. A lot of cool stuff. So let's see. So, okay. And I know we're out of time. Taking this back to our value proposition. So with everything we've talked about, I want you guys to really think of what is your value proposition. Okay, identify your knowledge, attitudes, skills, and beliefs that make you qualified to be a great real estate agent. Transform the value you provide and the value of KW and your market center into benefits for your clients and build your value proposition statement. So I want you guys to be thinking, what is it that why are they going to pay you a 3% commission? What are you guys going to do for them? Right. And as you understand that, as you grasp that, then like that original quote, a great agent can explain very clearly what their value proposition is, what they bring to the table. So that's going to help you to attract clients and make deals happen. So we'll kind of end it here. Any thoughts or last questions, you guys? Okay, great conversation. Yep, feel free. You guys might see me from time to time. Feel free to just pick my brain if you see me around. But yeah, go get them. So yeah, great meeting with you guys.